Hi, um, good morning. Today is January 22nd, 2026, and it is 11 a.m. US Central Time. Sorry. And my name is Reynaldo J. Aguiar-Marcano, and I'm recording this video from my home located at the 2302 Britton Ridge Drive, Katy, Texas, 77494. So I'm sorry for recording this video in this way. It's just that something pivotal, I think, just happened in the 387 court, and I want to record it to memorialize in case they do something. Sorry, let me switch sides. What happened was I filed, as I mentioned in demo D99, I think it was, and 98. I filed the verified motion to recuse, which strips the court from jurisdiction. But Troy Pickett kept the hearing on the docket, scheduled for today, the 22nd. And this motion to recuse had been filed for more than 8 days, and the judge did not rule on it and did not forward it to Judge Brown, to the administrative judge. So what happened was I show up to court at 9 a.m., before 9 a.m., right? I was there on time. And they're calling the docket. The first thing they do is to call the docket in the morning. As they're calling the docket, I immediately object to the hearing, not even in the hearing, like when they were calling the docket, before the hearing, right? I said this court does not have jurisdiction. I clearly said there is a motion to recuse. The court does not have jurisdiction. I cannot engage. I cannot participate. I said this at least 3 times during the docket call alone, okay? Judge Telfair tells me, don't worry, we're going to take care of it. That's what he said, right? Stay, right? So I sit down. And then, he goes through the entire docket call, and then he even hears some cases. He asked people to approach. And so, he kept me there for more than an hour. Although I had already objected, and I said that I would not engage, right? Then finally, right, after something like 40 minutes or an hour, he starts talking about my case. And then Troy Pickett says that he asked Troy Pickett how long he needs. And Troy Pickett says that he needed 40 minutes, 10 minutes to talk about my motion to recuse and 30 minutes to talk about the enforcement, the motion for enforcement. So this is trouble, right, from the start, because Pickett is already declaring his intention to litigate the motion to recuse in this court that does not have jurisdiction. So this right there is a violation of my civil rights, of my right to due process, right? By Pickett and by the judge by continuing, like entertaining this idea, right? Anyhow, I object again and I say, Judge, this court does not have jurisdiction, and I cannot engage. Then some time passes. The judge hears some cases, and then he starts by saying, listen, Pickett, he filed his motion to recuse, so I need to forward that to Judge Brown. So he's acknowledging that he hasn't forwarded, right? Like from his own mouth is coming out that he hasn't forwarded yet after 8 days, okay? And then Troy Pickett stands up like a paladin of justice and says, yes, Judge, but after you forward it, we're going to continue because he already filed his third motion to recuse. This is his third motion to recuse, and there is a tertiary rule, which is true. There is a tertiary rule, but the rule applies. The rule says that applies when after the judge, the administrative judge, has received the motion, and the motion hasn't been received, hasn't been even forwarded, right? So Pickett cannot move to apply the tertiary rule in these circumstances because the motion hasn't even been forwarded to the administrative judge, right? So at that moment, I object again to the hearing, not to what Pickett is saying. I'm objecting to participating in this hearing, right? Because the court does not have any jurisdiction to cover this procedure. Then the judge stops me. He stops me. He doesn't let me talk, and he says, excuse me, everybody, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back in 3 minutes. That's what he said. And he left. And then it took like, I don't know, maybe an hour, right? He kept us there waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing happened. And at this point, I was the only one left, I think. I mean, from the litigants. Like, there were no other litigants but us, right? I mean, the other party and myself. And when he comes back, he talks to Pickett, not to me. And he says, Pickett, I am going to send something to Judge Brown, and when she replies, we'll talk. Right? That's what he said. He didn't explicitly say that he was going to carry out the hearing, but he's saying explicitly that he's sending something to Judge Brown. So what I have to read from this situation is that he is in that very moment forwarding the motion to recuse to Judge Brown so she can decline it, deny it, and then at that point, he has jurisdiction again, right? And he can find me in contempt and put me in jail. So I objected, I stood up, right? Because the judge was going to hear other cases, right? After he said that. And I stood up respectfully and I said, Your Honor, with all respect, and this should be recorded in all those cameras in that courtroom. I object again because I already expressed multiple times that this court does not have jurisdiction. So, may I be excused? And the judge said, no, sit down. And I said, Judge, again, I repeat it, but I already expressed that I cannot engage because this court does not have jurisdiction. May I be excused? And the judge said in a very angry tone, I could see in his face that he was very angry. He said, I'm not going to excuse you. So at that point, I understood what they were going to do, right? So they were going to rush into this, rubber stamp denial of the 335 motion to recuse to then go ahead with the sham hearing and find me in contempt and put me in jail. So before that could even happen, I left, right? Because I already objected at least 7 times, and the judge kept insisting in keeping me there without having any authority to do that. I mean, this is a tremendous abuse to due process and to the most basic civil rights, like a judge abusing the position, his power, the state put him on to force a person to stay in a courtroom to entrap them, right? To keep them there until he has again the powers to put them in jail. So, I mean, this is a tremendous violation of I would say, human rights. I mean, he didn't consummate it, right? But it was clear to me what the intention was. Now, I have to say, I think this was triggered. Sorry, the dogs. I think all this was triggered because in the morning when I get there, because the clerk has been refusing to docket my filings. So the first thing I did, of course, last night, I printed the filings that she refused to docket, and I went and I filed them in person with the clerk, paper copies, right? Because they are obligated to take them. They cannot refuse a paper copy. They can disappear them after, but now I have the stamped proof that the clerk received it, right? Now if they disappear it, I think, right, the argument could be made that the court itself is the enterprise. So anyhow, I want to show here. I'm going to, of course, scan these documents and upload them to the bucket. But I want to take the opportunity to show them here to show you that I filed these documents, right? So here you see the stamp from the clerk, and it says filed today, January 22nd. At this one was 8:31, right? And this is the emergency verified notice of ongoing conspiracy to commit terrorist acts and treason in violation of 18 USC 2381. That's one of the documents I filed. But actually, the first document I filed was this one, right? Which is the most important, that has the proof that the judge is biased, right? Obviously biased. And you can see that by the behavior today. So this is the motion, the respondent's amended motion for leave to file reply and supplement in support of field verified motion to recuse. And you can see the file date of January 22nd, 2026 at 8:30 a.m., right? And you can see that it's stamped by the clerk and it's signed, right? So this is a document that contains the photo of the book, of the cover of the book, that has the picture of Susan Brown and Judge Telfair in the cover, right? And now, the last document I filed was this one, which is respondent's verified notice of confirmation of procedural obstruction by the preceding judge, the same judge that was trying to pull this off today, right? And continued lack of jurisdiction. And here you can see that it was filed, the stamp, January 22nd at 8:31 a.m. And you can see that this is a copy. So I believe that they rushed into this desperate move because now they have no excuse to not forward this to Judge Brown, and she will have to recuse herself because she's seen her picture and the report to the IRS in this package, right? So anyhow, what I want to memorialize here is by the time that procedure started at 9 a.m., which was the time that was noticed by Pickett, the motion to recuse wasn't even sent to Judge Brown, right? So this court has no jurisdiction. I understand that they can do anything they want because they control that court completely. But that would be a crime, right? If they now rush something into the docket saying that he has jurisdiction and this afternoon he issues a warrant for my arrest, right? Yes, that would be the culmination of the crime. So I don't know, just memorizing this, I'm going to, well, this is live, so it's going to go live immediately. And I'm going to, of course, add it to the book and send it to the DOJ. But also I want to say, when I came back home, my internet was cut. So my Xfinity internet doesn't work, right? I understand, it could be a coincidence, right? It could be an unfortunate coincidence that the internet went out. But I believe it's too coincidental, right? That this happens. They do this elaborate thing to try to get me last minute, right, into jail. And then I come home and the internet is completely cut off. It doesn't work, right? So I'm doing this using my cell phone as a proxy, as a gateway. To be able to connect to the internet using as a hotspot, basically. To using my phone as a hotspot to be able to record this video. Because Xfinity cut my internet in this moment. And they haven't cut my internet, this internet, since I've had it, which is like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months, 5 months, I don't know. In all this time, it has never gone out. But in this very moment, when I'm coming back home with this emergency, because they could be issuing that warrant for that arrest right now, right? In fact, I don't know, let's look at what is the... let's try to see what is it they're doing, right? Just 1 second, I'm trying to share my screen with you. It doesn't want to work. Let me close this. Let me open a new one. Yeah, for some reason I can't share my screen. But let me see what maybe he put something in the docket, right? Which he shouldn't, because he doesn't have jurisdiction, right? Like they cannot take any acts until that motion to recuse is forward to Judge Brown and then decided on, right? Okay, so he hasn't put anything into it, but my 3 documents of this morning are in the docket now, right? I imagine they marked it as private, right? So responded, verified notice of confirmation of procedural. Let me see if I can download it. Oh no, they're downloadable. So yeah, so this is gold. So the documents are in the docket, right? This is gold, really. Let me see. Okay, the second one I cannot see it. So the emergency verified notice of ongoing conspiracy to commit terrorist acts and treason is not visible. That one they don't let me click on it. And the amended motion to file, the leave for amended motion for leave to file the supplement with the Judge Telfair in the cover of the book. That one, I cannot click on it. It appears in the docket, but I can't click on the document. It's like they don't let me click on it. Right? It says public access error, like they protected the document. So that one is protected, and the one that notifies the court about the federal statutes that could apply also is marked as private. The only document I could download was the notice of procedural obstruction. No, not even that. They just blocked it. I mean, maybe they're blocking my computer, right? So now I cannot download any document. But anyhow, they appear in the document, right? So that's progress. And just to memorialize that here, I'm going to say the indices in case they change it, right? So index 162 is the respondent's amended motion for leave to file, reply, and supplement in support of the still verified motion to recuse. That's 162. 163 got emergency verified notice of ongoing conspiracy to commit terrorist acts and treason in violation of 18 USC 2381. And index 164 is respondents verified notice of confirmation of procedural obstruction by presiding judge and continued lack of jurisdiction. So that got index 164. And they also finally included the documents that they've been blocking for 2 days. Now they appear in the docket, right? But I cannot download them. I'm blocked from downloading anything. But at least that's progress, right? So now everything is in the docket, at least, right? And I got there at 9 a.m. and I clearly objected in front of a lot of witnesses that the court, because the court doesn't have jurisdiction, right? And Judge Telfair confirmed verbally that he has not even forwarded the motion to the judge, right? So now we have two confirmations: a confirmation verbal from Judge Telfair from the bench that in 8 days he has not forwarded that motion to the administrative judge, and confirmation from Rebecca Bright, who is the clerk of the administrative judge, that they haven't received it, right? So we have confirmation from the two sides that the motion to recuse has been just sitting in Telfair's desk for 8 days, and he hasn't wrote on it or forwarded. Right? So, I mean, let's see what they're going to do, because all I did was to walk away from a proceeding that he had no legal investure to conduct, and I don't think that is a crime. I'm in my right to walk away from a situation where they're going to unconstitutionally imprison me without even having jurisdiction to do it. So, but let's see if they abuse power, further, right, their power. Let's see. Anyhow, so with this, I'm going to conclude this quick demo, and I'm going to immediately send this to the DOJ. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.